You're listening to Radio Cosmos.
All night long.
Bravo!
My compliments, little lady.
Commercial! Break for 30 seconds.
You are now listening to BaaD Radio.
Hello and welcome to BaaD Radio. BaaD stands for Business at a Distance. This is a show about local businesses and business networking. We are here in the News Radio WFLA Orlando studios from 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. every Sunday. And I'm your host, Angela Smerito. And in studio with me, we have Melissa Jacob with Striking Brand.
Hello to everyone.
She is our co-host and our videographer.
I do that.
She does. And if you go to baadradio.com, and that's BAAD radio.com, you can see all the previous episodes of the show there because she does a beautiful job. But if you want to see more of Melissa's work, you go to strikingbrand.com because in addition to being a videographer, she is also a photographer. All right, so please join me in welcoming a new business owner to BaaD Radio. Please welcome Michael Wallman with Wallman Financial.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Very excited to be here.
So I wrote in my little, I posted the show intro last night, and I was like, who has focused his financial expertise on helping individuals and couples of all creeds secure a stronger financial future. How did I do?
Did well.
I love how you're like, you want to hear my professional intro? What do you guys think?
I didn't even put it through ChatGPT either. I
Oh
wrote
my
it all by
God.
myself.
Astounding.
Well, welcome so much to the show. Let's tell everybody how we met real quick, because I think I told you that I went to the Pride Chamber meeting last month, right? I got invited by one of our sponsors.
I didn't know there was a Pride Chamber.
Yes, and actually it was a nonprofit night that night, wasn't it?
Yes.
And so I got a lot of contacts with a lot of great nonprofits, and I'm really going to reach out to them because I want to do like a whole series of nonprofit shows. So I'm working on figuring out a way to get all that funding taken care of so I can cover all the show costs so that we can bring them in. But anyway, I digress. So anyway, Stephen Brandt, owner of Body Street, introduced Michael and I. And it was so funny because when Stephen brought me in, he was like, I was like, I want to talk to interesting people. He's like, I know exactly who to bring you to. And you're the first person that he brought me to. So how long have you been part of the Pride Chamber?
So the Pride Chamber is Central Florida's leading gay and lesbian chamber of commerce. I've been a member for over 10 years now. I've been involved in the community for over 25 years, but I've been here in Orlando for 10 and joined the chamber when I moved.
Very nice. So before we jump into clientele, let's talk a little bit about what a financial planner does. Tell us all the ins and outs about what you do.
Do you have time? The ins and outs could be about 3 hours. So,
well, we have one.
Okay.
Cliff notes.
I think it's 4 10-minute segs. So I'll go ahead and so financial planning. What I'm finding now as I'm getting older, that I'm dealing with two types of generations. So we have Gen X, Gen Z, Gen Y, and the boomers.
Okay. Fair.
So I'm learning now how to discuss financial planning to the gens, which is different than explaining and talking about planning to boomers. When I talk to boomers or when I do classes or CE classes or other speaking engagements, I look out and I'll see boomers and I'll look and I'll see gens. So when I do these programs and I say, well, I'm going to address the boomers real quick and tell you I'm a holistic financial planner. I work with attorneys, I work with insurance folks, I work with estate planners.
Okay.
When I discuss this with the gens, Z, X, or what have you, I'm a financial coach. Okay. I'm here to educate you and help you make decisions along the way.
Right.
Okay. The boomers tell me what I need to do. Okay, just tell me what I need.
Well, so for the boomers, are they kind of at a place now where they're like, we're thinking about retirement? Is it too late for us? Can we what can we do in a short term to be able to? I guess what I'm trying to ask is, what is the end game for somebody to come see a financial planner, regardless of where they're at? It's tell me if I'm wrong. In my opinion, though, it's so that we can have a strong financial future, so I can retire and be able to live comfortably and provide and still be able to do all the things for my kids.
So there's no point where you're just like, after you're done working, where you're just like out of luck and like having to make
packing groceries or something.
Huge sacrifices and like the quality of life doesn't
Is that
go down.
what a financial
So
planner?
that's a great question. And
Are we
what-
close?
close.
Okay, that's
what
good.
what we're finding, or what I'm seeing, is with the boomers, it's I don't want to run out of money.
Mm-hmm.
I have a pot of money, and I am scared that I will run out.
Okay,
Mhm.
and that's
Okay.
a fair. I would be scared too.
So
I know. I'm like, am I a boomer? Wait a second.
That-
So-
not
I don't
yet.
want
I-
to
you
do
are
that.
not a boomer.
You're a
You
millennial.
are definitely not a boomer.
I'm joking. I'm just
Okay.
saying I don't want to run out of money either.
Okay. But
You
the
have more time,
difference-
dear.
The difference exact is the fact that you have more time. So when I'm dealing with boomers and we're dealing with a finite amount of money,
Mm-hmm.
that's a very tough, very difficult conversation. Okay. When I'm working with my gens, I have the period of time where I'm able to accumulate. That's
Right.
the accumulation
Mhm.
phase. That's the easy phase. That's where, when we're talking to folks, we can have them save money on a monthly basis. We're accumulating.
Mm-hmm.
The hard part is the deaccumulation. It's now we have the pot. How do we remove funds in a safe, sound manner that I can live off of it?
But you also have a way, like if you start working with people when they're younger, you can help navigate where they're putting their money to where when you do take it out, it's going to be like the least, it's going to have the least taxes removed, et cetera, et cetera.
Yes, to your point, the conversation would be, what are your goals? It's very generic at the beginning.
Right.
What are your goals? What are your aspirations? What are your passions? When you're dealing with people's monies, it's the most intimate of things.
Oh, it makes
The-
people
it-
nuts.
It is basically you're sharing the most intimate things. I have X amount. I'm 58 years old and I have $25,000. That is very intimate and it's scary.
Mhm.
Okay, you have to feel comfortable sharing the most intimate information with your financial planner.
Right.
Okay,
So if somebody, a boomer, came to you with that scenario, is that something that you could help them with? Or are they just kind of like I said, that's just not enough money. You're gonna
it's a
just
very, very difficult conversation. Now, in my practice, and most advisors, however, work with the boomers and want the boomers because they're the ones with all the money. Today, the monies are with the boomers. However, that transfer of wealth will be happening in the next 7, 10, 15 years. To whom?
their children.
The gens. Okay, so my practice is not based on how much money do you have at this age.
Mm-hmm.
I will work with young folks, which I enjoy working. You know, my practice is mainly LGBT. Okay, I'm working with gay and lesbian couples. I like to work with young couples because, again, I have time. I can educate and guide them. Okay, and what's important is having folks that you feel comfortable working with. Not only am I asking you the most intimate questions, we're dealing with the largest asset you have besides your home in some instances.
Right.
So not only am I asking you intimate questions, I now have to ensure that you feel comfortable working with me. This is a community that has been underserved and overlooked for many, many years.
Absolutely. So, for example, I'm in the exact same situation. Like my husband and I are Gen X. My parents are boomers, and there is going to come a time where their money is going to come down to my sisters and myself. And I'll be honest with you, I don't have a plan. I don't have a plan. I have nothing. All I know is that I want to make sure that we live comfortably and that we're not crazy like eccentric. We're not going to spend a ton of money, but I want to make sure the kids are all taken care of.
Is your husband more like financially, like, is he more of like the financial person in the?
No. It's like I take care of all the bills and
Yeah.
stuff, but that's where I would cut. So this is where you and I should be talking, right? And saying,
It's the planning to prepare yourself to receive funds, and that's a conversation with mom and dad that you would bring in. You know, I'm bringing in an advisor that I'm currently working with. Perhaps dad, mom, you're working with one. Perhaps they are. Perhaps they're not. But I am, and I'd like to come up with some game plan. You know, if your plan is to transfer wealth to my sister and I, let's do it in a manner in which it's tax efficient as well as longevity.
yeah, my parents would totally appreciate if I came to them and had a conversation like that. They'd be like, wow, She's been thinking ahead. I like it.
And there's also the contrary, which is I'm going to get buried in the last check
Hold
I
on.
write
Hold that
will
thought
bounce.
there because we have to go to break. So stay tuned for more BaaD Radio.
Welcome back to BaaD Radio, brought to you by Premier Couple Superstore, because a couple that plays together stays together.
Welcome back, and this portion of BaaD Radio is brought to you by Premier Couple Superstore. It's cold out there, so time to cuddle up with your loved one. But first, a trip to Premier Couple Superstore. They have got a huge selection of lingerie, shoes, toys, games, love oils, and a ton of great gifts. With Premier Couple Superstore, you don't pay those high prices because you go directly to the source. 5009 South OPT, or shop online at premiercouples.net, because a couple that plays together stays together. Beautiful. All right, we're talking with Michael Wallman with Wallman Financial. And before break, I kind of had to cut him off because he didn't get to hear the music to be able to end the segment. But anyway, I didn't mean to cut you off during that. But during the first segment, you started to talk about the segment of the population that you cater to, and it's with the gay and lesbian community. So let's talk about that a little bit, because we did mention that I met him at the Pride Chamber, and I agree with you. This is a segment of the community that is way underserved. So my first question really is about the couple, the union. So prior to what year?
So prior to 2015.
2015? Okay.
Is when the community was able to get married. I've been in the business for over 25 years. I've been working with the community probably for 20 plus years.
Where were you before you came to Florida? You said it was 10 years ago. Were you from up north?
I'm originally from up north, but no, I've been in Miami for 20, 30 years.
Okay, so still Florida though,
yes,
right?
Florida, Miami, then to Orlando, 10 years.
Right, and so in Florida was 2015 when the state recognized same-sex marriage.
Correct.
And with that came to be able to share the assets or whatever. Sorry, I don't have a
the vocabulary.
So we talk
Same.
about two things. We talk pre-15 and post-15.
Well, let's talk pre-15 first. Okay, so
So
that's a challenge, I see.
Pre-15, unfortunately, today it's a moot point. My guys can get divorced just like I did. My guys can, because we're married, all of these things that we've protected, and I'll talk about that in a moment, are now almost moot. However, with the recent change of climate here in Florida, we might want to keep some of those protections in place. However, I've been with the community since '95. In '95, it was a period of time in South Florida. We were at the tail end of HIV. We had couples together for many, many years that were not recognized. I was fortunate to be friends with many of the community through prior work and my current work.
Would these couples come to you and be like, Michael, we've been together for 15 years, but we can't, we're not viewed as a couple legally, so how are we able to plan for our future if we can't do that? And you were able to find solutions?
So that's a great question. So when I first got into the business, and we talked about, with my wife at the time, about niches. And what are you passionate about? What community or what activity? Prior to being a financial planner, I was a buyer at Macy's, and in the retail industry, we had.
Did you get a good discount?
Yes, there was a lovely discount.
Ugh.
But I was in
Jealous.
women's intimate apparel buying panties and daywear. So.
I'm down with that. Because you heard that we have Premier Couple Superstore as a sponsor,
This is true,
right?
true. So in '95, when I went to Merrill Lynch is where I started.
Okay.
And they were extremely supportive when I went to my manager at the time and I said, I'd like to do some estate planning for the alternative family. And he was like, "That's what exactly are you speaking?"
Yeah, I was going to say, did he know what you
So
meant?
the alternative family, Michael, what are we speaking of? And again, this is in '95. We're in South Florida. We're talking about the gay and lesbian community.
Pull that microphone just a little bit closer to you.
We're talking about the gay and lesbian community. Well, what's that all about? And I explained to my manager these issues that I've come across with my friends and colleagues, primarily being together for 15 years or 12 years together, living together, and the stories are the same. I'm with my partner. My partner, back then, HIV positive, stays home, cared for by his partner. Partner passes. And what happens?
Mm-hmm.
We have the parents coming in saying, thank you so much for being Charles's roommate for the last 12, 15 years. We really are appreciative.
They don't recognize it was a relationship.
We're going to go ahead and we're going to list the house. If by all means, please stay. You got 6-9 months. We're going to go ahead and list the house. And if you don't mind, Mary, the sister, Mary, because we got together. They were there for holidays and so forth, parents, sisters. If you don't mind, we're going to go ahead and take the dog, if you don't mind.
The dog?
The dog. So right off the bat, when that happened, I was just, this isn't right.
Right.
But I wasn't a financial planner. I was just a regular person at Macy's buying pennies.
But you obviously had a knack for finances. I mean, it sounded like I said, it's either you do or you don't. You know what I mean? It's not like somebody just one day says, "I'm going to be a financial planner" when you're an apparel buyer.
In high school, I've always had a Schwab account. So there was always something there. In high school, I did play a little bit in the market.
Okay.
That was my only interest. Going to college, it was nothing to do with finance.
Right.
And I still believe what I do isn't necessarily about real finance. It's about planning. It's about having a couple sit with you. And again, I talk about how intimate it is, but then also to feel comfortable.
Yeah,
with
it's
their
more
orientation, working with a financial planner.
It seems more like the guidance part you like.
I love the guidance
Right,
part. I like the hand-holding, and I'll talk shortly maybe about my ideal client. Why do I enjoy working with the couples so much, or individuals in the community?
That was my question. I was wondering. I was like, where did that come from?
Well, obviously, as I said, working in retail, you come across many folks that happen to be gay, and I've become very close and friendly and still friendly. But when I went to Merrill Lynch and I proposed the idea of doing seminars, I want to do seminars, estate planning for the alternative family. I want to bring in gay lawyers, gay estate planners, gay accountants. I brought in an HIV doctor one seminar, and I basically get up and I talk about, your stuff's not going to your partner. I'm really, really sorry. It's just not. You're not recognized.
So you would invite just
seminars. I sent, back in the day, there was a magazine called Out and Advocate, paper magazines in the 90s, 80s.
Right.
I bought the lead list. I bought the list of folks that subscribed. Took the list, sent a lovely letter saying I'm with Merrill Lynch. I'm doing a seminar series called Estate Planning for the Alternative Family. And I got an overwhelming response. Some were F you.
Right.
Somebody rewrote my lovely letter.
Oh, nice.
And said grammatic errors, context errors.
Oh my God.
So it was very interesting. But yes, 6 months later, Merrill Lynch came out with a brochure with two guys holding hands, arm in arm, in front of a flower shop. I took it, patronizing, but I took it and ran with it.
Well, it's a start, right? It's a start. It's being recognized.
Absolutely. Right now, well, fast forward 2015, after several years of doing seminars, the community saw that I was an ally. Okay, that I was somebody that saw that there was a need. I had solutions. I was unique. There was not many folks doing estate planning for the alternative family in the 90s. The community was certainly overlooked back then.
I mean, I think that for a lot of people, it's just straight up not being educated or not even being aware or even being considerate of that population. So I think that's really great, and it's very ahead of its time. And I'm glad that Merrill Lynch decided to do that. I'm glad that they appreciated what you did.
Kudos to them. Unfortunately, they are a shell of what they were back in the past, but that's not a slam on Merrill.
I understand.
They were progressive. The seminar series did very well. The attorneys that I work with were very, very supportive of my practice. Okay.
Yeah, and you know what I want to talk about, if you don't mind, when we get back, I want to talk about a little bit about the seminars, because I'm hugely interested in understanding how those went And actually, you said you had solutions. I'm very curious what kind of those solutions were,
Right.
or still are. So everybody stay tuned. We are coming back with more BaaD Radio.
Welcome back to BaaD Radio, brought to you by Premier Couple Superstore, because a couple that plays together stays together.
Welcome back, and this portion of the show is brought to you by Body Street of Winter Park. Experience the future of fitness at Body Street in Winter Park. Lose weight, build muscle, tone your body in only 20 minutes a week. Visit bodystreet.us, where fitness meets efficiency. And we're here with Michael Wallman with Wallman Financial, and we have had 2 segments, and I'm like, I want to talk for like the next 2 hours about this.
Bye already.
So before break, I started to tease a little bit, saying, I wanted to dive a little bit deeper into the seminars, into some of the solutions, because I'm very, very curious. I always love problem solvers, and I love like thinking outside of the box. So can you tell us a little bit about how the seminars went?
Sure. Again, the topic is a very sensitive topic because you're bringing in folks that know there are issues. I'm in a relationship with somebody that is not recognized, and we have assets together that should one of us pass or something happen, how do I or how is division happening? Well, in the community pre-15, it was a very difficult thing. So what do you do? What are those solutions? So one of the things, or there's many, but there's healthcare issues, okay? There's estate planning issues.
Right.
There's a TOD on different types of accounts. Okay?
TOD?
Transfer on death.
Okay.
Okay?
Gotcha.
We want to make sure that my accounts go to my partner.
And not my parents, who are going to
Not
take
my
it and liquidate it and,
Right.
take the dog with them.
One of
Jeez.
the things that was paramount back in the day was healthcare surrogacy, healthcare surrogate.
So I'm in the same-sex marriage, our same-sex relationship. My spouse is the stay-at-home one, but my insurance won't cover my spouse because we're of the same sex. Prior-
Spouse?
Is it not spouse?
Prior
Partner?
it was partner.
Partner. Okay. Right. Okay. So partner. So the partner couldn't be covered by the insurance because the state of Florida would not see it as a legal marriage, correct?
That is correct. A lot of companies, and I shouldn't say it all blanket because I'm sure you could have found 1 or 2 that would have recognized that perhaps were
Sure.
more progressive.
Mm-hmm.
Majority, no. Okay. So how do we, so healthcare insurance, which is different than, surrogacy, which is where, hey, I'm in the hospital, I'm incapacitated, I want to see my partner. Well, you can't see your partner. Your partner is not your spouse. You're not
Right.
married. You cannot.
I
There's
didn't think
mom and
about
dad.
that. So your partner's in the hospital and you can't go see him
Right.
because you're not a family member technically.
Right.
That's terrible.
And I'd like to. I don't want to suffer. I don't
Mhm.
want to vegetate. I don't want to be in a state where machines are keeping me alive. I would like you to be my healthcare surrogate. I would like you to make that decision for me.
Mm-hmm.
Well, unless I have that in some form,
Right.
some format, some legal document, it's not going to happen.
Right.
So that's where, as a financial planner, bringing in those folks, bringing in the estate planning attorney who is versed with working with the community.
Gotcha.
These are the folks that I have to align myself to ensure that I'm giving my clients depending if you're an older boomer, holistic plan, or if you're my gens, we're going to talk about the coaching and working with you to prepare the documents that might be needed. Pre-15, there was a plethora of documents needed. Now that we're able to get married, the documents have shrunk.
Are they? How similar are they? I would assume that they're essentially identical to like if it's a heterosexual relationship.
For the most part, that is correct. And the issues that I encountered pre-15 are different than the issues I'm encountering post-15.
What are those?
Yeah.
What I'm now finding is I have guys that were married. These were folks that were married. Society pigeonholed them into a marriage, and maybe they loved this woman or man. Okay, they married, they had children. I have a client right now who's been estranged from his kids for 27 years, doesn't communicate, has no relationship, He's now in a relationship and married to his partner, now husband. But when his husband passes, okay, the husband that does not have the kids, when the husband passes, I bet the bottom dollar that the children, even though they have no relationship with their father, will come out of the woodwork
With their hands
and
out.
seek funds. So post 15, I'm married, but I want to really button that up. I need to button that up because I want my husband to receive my funds, my assets, even though I have children, where you might say, okay, I'm going to parse out my estate because I have children, I have my husband. But in this particular case, this is an estranged family, and to ensure I could be completely wrong and the kids will just let it be.
But you don't know. Can you write people out of your will so that they can't be part to come with their hands?
Well, I'm not an attorney,
Right.
but I think Bolts comes in every once in a while. Correct? You have an attorney.
Brooke? Yeah, she does.
So, but yes, can you cut people out of a will? I'm sure there
believe
are
so.
ways to do so.
So those children, you know what I mean? So those children that if they're estranged and they're not part of
Right.
the equation, they can't come
Out
20
of the woodwork.
out of the woodwork with their hand out. It
Correct.
can literally be in writing saying they get nothing.
Right.
So, something to that effect, correct.
But so you work with the attorneys and you work with that couple and say, these are the things that we need to do. You need to talk to this person, this person, this person.
Correct. And that covers insurance products.
Right.
I do a lot of insurance work, life insurance, okay? And I'm coming across a lot of cases where insurance vehicles are needed. And if there's a vehicle that might be out of the box for me, I have an insurance expert who can help, okay? An accountant that is versed with working with the community. Pre-15 is different than post-15.
How? An accountant?
An accountant.
Yeah. How is that different?
Prior to 15, we had to ensure that we can show that the mortgage is being paid by two parties.
Okay.
Okay? Cumbersome. Paper trail.
Right.
Post 15, I'm married. My house is in my name. It's in my husband's name.
Oh, gotcha.
Yeah.
So, and that's just one layer. The next layer is, am I comfortable working with this person? Is this person sensitive to my community? Are they, we're dealing with money, and then on top of it, we're dealing with social issues where folks perhaps would feel they're not welcome.
Right. Depending on their different backgrounds and all of that. Right.
Yeah. Okay. Now you don't have to stop talking. I just give you, that means that we got 2 minutes.
I had a question, and I'm sure there's a bunch of ways, but how do you work well with the attorneys? I mean, I know an attorney like an estate planning attorney, Karina Delatorre. I'm just going to shout her out. So I know what she does is pretty much like the legal side and making sure that, how you said, assets go to the right people and having the documentation to make that go through without a problem. And then your end of it is essentially like looking at what they have and making sure that they build it in the right way. Like how do you guys work together?
So
does that make sense?
Yes, it does. And I know we're going into a time break at some point, but basically I act as a coach, okay? And I have a team. Who's on my team? I got my accountant. I got my attorney. I have my insurance person. What do? My expertise is correct. There is a pot of money that we are going to save. We are going to accumulate. How is that to be invested? Now that investment is in a completely different conversation than these other conversations, estate planning conversation. All of it ties in, but they're different conversations. I am versed in accounting. I'm versed in law. I know enough to get hurt. I know enough just to burn and where to bring in.
Right.
I know where to steer attorneys, and I can find and see attorneys that might need some support.
Well, we're going to continue on with this conversation with Michael Wallman, so please stay tuned for more BaaD Radio.
Welcome back to BaaD Radio, brought to you by Premier Couple Superstore, because a couple that plays together stays together.
Welcome back, and this portion of BaaD Radio is brought to you by Ground Up Property Services. Do you know what your sprinkler system did last night? Probably not. So it's a good time to get your irrigation system serviced by Ground Up Property Services today. Be sure to ask Rick Hall with Ground Up about a water sensor too, so your lawn doesn't get too much water. And don't forget to ask about the lawn painting service. If you're planning an outdoor event and you want to hide those brown spots on the lawn, call 407-468-4295 or visit groundupinc.net. I was actually working on some reels for Ground Up, and I found myself just stopping and watching the show. I'm like, what am I doing? I was like, I sat there and did this, but we're talking about the water sensors and how it's a cork. Yep. It's it's a cork, and when cork gets wet, it kind of expands, and that cuts the circuit, so it cuts the sprinkler systems off. And he's like, fascinating.
Science.
So we have Michael Wallman with Wallman Financial in studio with us today, and we've been just having a great conversation about everything that he has going on, and I want to keep talking about that. So we talked about some of the seminars, and so what was it like coming up to 2015? I mean, was there a lot of like political stuff going on, and people were lobbying to get this law in? And then once it happened, was it like just a huge victory, was like a big celebration, and then the changes really started happening?
Yes. My advocacy started in South Florida, in Miami, in '96, and we were the first city of Miami to pass the Human Rights Ordinance. It was at that time that I became very involved in the community, talking about that the family unit is not just a mom and a dad and two kids. Bringing my children up to the podium, pointing them out, using them as props, saying this is not just the only picture of a family. Using that, and then the momentum of showing that and spearheading and passing the ordinance in the city of Miami was huge. That momentum carried out through the rest of the state. When Orlando, when I moved here 10 years ago, 2015, the Community Marriage Act was happening, and that is when the huge celebrations came about. It was a Supreme Court ruling. It was partying. It was just an awesome, awesome event. Did have an article that I wanted out there, that was kind of out there, that said DOMA, which was the ruling, put Wallman Financial out of business. Why? Because my practice is mainly, hey, you're all screwed. You can't, you're not going to get your stuff. Well, now my guys can get, as I said earlier, they can get divorced just like me.
Right.
Okay, there's no special sauce now.
Right.
I was offering.
There's always going to be a special. I mean, no matter what, it's different,
Yes,
and so
it's a different sauce.
Yeah, for sure. I don't even call it sauce.
Yeah, let's stop doing that. I did have a question. So in the past, it's obvious like how they were, that group was underserved. The obvious, because they had so many legal things to overcome. Now you're saying that there are things that are, everything is a lot more similar to heterosexual relationship. What are some of the ways where it's still a challenge, or some of the things that, if there are any listeners out there that maybe they wouldn't realize, that are some things that they have to take into consideration that would be different, or a special circumstance?
Very good question. Post 15, I'm gay. What do I need? I don't need anything. I got, I can get married, divorced.
Right.
Well, hold on. If you have a brokerage account or a bank account in your name, even if you are married, if you don't have a TOD, that transfer on death I spoke of earlier, that is ease to transfer those funds. Okay? Transfer on death. Even though I'm married, I put a TOD if it's a single account. I have folks that still have single name accounts, okay? But I want to make sure my partner, my husband, gets this.
Right.
TOD, okay? That's just one vehicle to do so. I mentioned earlier about the client with an estranged family. That's a new situation that's coming out now. I'm getting married. I'm married. and I have children,
Mm-hmm.
but my children and I are estranged.
Mm-hmm.
I want to ensure my husband gets my resources. So that's a new post-15 for me situation.
But that's a similar. I mean, that could happen with a man and wife relationship too. Somebody's estranged from their family, and then
The
same,
kids.
same sort of thing.
Very similar.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
What are you doing? What is it? What does your clients look like right now? I mean, I have two. I want to talk about your clients now, and I would love to hear like one of your success stories too. So that's two things. I don't know if we have enough time to cover them all, but let's pick one.
I have a very unique book of business. As I said earlier, most advisors are looking to work with boomers because the boomers have the money today.
Mm-hmm.
Trillions of dollars are in the boomer hands.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, my book of business, average age is a 48-year-old
Okay.
male.
A 48-year-old male
48-year-old male,
in a relationship, not in a relationship,
single.
single. Okay.
My second largest concentration are couples in their 50s. Okay, so I do not have many retirees.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I'm working with people who are in the accumulation period where we're adding money. So that is one of the areas that I like to work in is the accumulation area, working with younger couples. Okay,
What do you mean by younger though? Like 20s,
That's it.
30s?
Well, as I said earlier, I don't like to band my practice. In other words, if you're X years old, I won't work with you.
Right.
What I do, however, is if you are 25
Mm-hmm.
and you only have a small pot of money, I know I have years to work with.
Right.
You. I know if you're 25, I have at least 25 years, or my associate will carry on.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
If we treat you well, if we service you and are responsive and take care of you in all your needs, you'll continue to work with me. And if you're 25 and I have you add money every month, every year, and I guide,
Mm-hmm.
you'll do well. Okay? So conversely, if you come to me and you're 65 and you have a very small pot of money,
Mm-hmm.
that's a very, very difficult situation.
Right.
Because I probably will pass.
Mm-hmm.
I got you. Because like I said, you have to look at time is money, and
Right.
you're going to spend time on it.
And then I know it's always better to start younger. I mean, anybody who, my parents will be like, I wish I had started what I'm doing now when I was a lot younger. Let's say it's someone who's like 18 and they're working at McDonald's while they are going to college or whatever. Is that still like in the realm? Would that be someone who you'd want to come
That's
to you?
just
Or
unlikely to be the situation,
That's an
right?
awesome question.
Yeah.
And
You
I'm
never
going to
know.
use my daughter as an
Okay.
example. So I'm sorry, Arden.
Mhm.
But
Beautiful name.
she started day one of age 18.
Mhm.
I want to open up a Roth IRA. She learned
Yes.
about it in public high school, which I thought
Nice.
was awesome
Mhm.
because their financial literacy is absent in most schools.
100%.
Yes.
So she said, I want to open up an account. No problem. I'll get the paperwork. She goes, hold on. I don't want to work with you, however. I don't want to pay your fee. I know you have to pay, you charge a fee. And I said, yes, I can give you a discount deal. So she went to Schwab.
Mhm.
Went
Well, she paid
online.
their fee too.
No fee at Schwab.
Okay.
Oh.
She's online, opens up her account day one of age 18. She's 21 now. She does her max funds, her Roth IRA.
Mhm.
Very, very proud of her. Fiscal responsibility needs to be taught early. Okay. So to your 18-year-old working at McDonald's,
Mhm.
absolutely
Wonderful.
get them started. Whether it be working with a planner. I mean, the 21-year-old puts me on TikTok saying she's doing portfolio review with her financial planner, who happens to be AKA her dad.
Dad.
Okay.
Right.
Cute.
Nice. Well, I have all sorts of stuff in mind for you for your social
I know.
media, so we're going to talk. And Michael's going to be on the show again, and we're going to talk about something he's got coming up with another underserved market, and that's the OnlyFans entertainment. So we're going to talk about more of that next time you come on, but give everybody your contact information.
Great. Michael Wallman, that's Wallman, and it's Wallman Financial, and you could reach me at www.wallmanfinancial.com. You can also reach me at mwallman at Wallman Financial.
All right, great. Well, we're going to head to break. When we get back, we're going to have more BaaD Radio, so stay tuned for another hour.